Are we live? No countdown, nothing? So we're live.
Yes, we're live. Welcome to WagerTalk Today.
Ah,
Figure it out, Lawrence.
I'm out of
Dan's having
practice,
computer
bro.
problems behind the scenes.
I'm out of practice. Welcome back. Dan doesn't even count us in. I guess that's a new thing. Well, welcome everyone to WagerTalk Today. Oh, bugger off, Teddy. Hope everyone is well. You're listening to, well, WagerTalk Today. Teddy, who's on? What are they going to be discussing?
On today's show, after that might be the worst intro we've ever had. That being said, we've been doing the show 2.5 years. We're due for a bad one. Ralph Michaels is going to lead us off. He's got a chart. We're going to talk money line versus run line on MLB big favorites. He's also going to break down the Chicago Cubs against the Miami Marlins and in NBA action for tonight. We'll talk about the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. Second guest today is going to be Sig. He's talking Kentucky Derby. We're going to pick his brain, find a couple of favorites he likes, find a couple of long shots he likes, and talk about maybe a little Derby history, what works, what doesn't in Kentucky. Andy Lang's going to close out the show. He's going to talk NBA props. We're going to talk a little Joel Embiid. He's going to talk some UFC for tonight, some chaos for this weekend, some Chaos Williams, and some Formula One as well. Of course, we got the new BS segment, which isn't new anymore. We got a couple of viewer questions to answer for today. And if we get 100 likes, Lawrence, we doing a big game? We doing a presidential address at the end of the show? Or is that a no-go for today on Friday?
But we'll figure it out.
Why not?
I'm a little out of it, bro. I traveled last night. I went to Vegas. I played poker for 3 days, did not cash in any event, which is fine. I mean, you know, Teddy, quick question about poker. When you go into these tournaments, are you trying to min cash or are you trying to win? And I know everyone's answer is they're trying to win. But it's a huge, huge mindset difference coming into a tournament and saying, I'm happy if I min cash. I can't do that anymore. I'm trying to win these things. I keep my foot on the pedal. I never slow down, even as we approach the bubble. You know, you're 5-10 away from the bubble. Are you getting a little tighter? Are you trying to cash, or you just use that opportunity to accumulate more chips?
I tend to be more aggressive as we reach the bubble, but I don't play enough poker anymore, Lawrence. I mean, you know, my playing poker a lot days are well in the rearview mirror. You know, I don't play like you. I don't play like Marco. I rarely get out to the rooms, and I rarely get out to tournaments. So, you know, anytime I cash, I'm happy at this stage of the game. That said, yeah, as you hit the bubble in a poker tournament, as you approach the bubble, standard strategy is you got to be more aggressive, not let aggressive. You know, steal chips there. Unfortunately, it didn't work for you on Tuesday, and it didn't work for you on Wednesday.
Or Thursday. Well, Thursday was Thursday was me, dude. I had kings, I walked into aces. I had queens, I walked into kings. Ralph Michaels joining us. Ralph, welcome to WagerTalk Today. I love having you on, man. How you been?
Teddy, I can't believe every time Prez is in town, my email goes down for that dinner invite. And I was going to say, I don't do shit except play poker. But you would think if he's coming to Vegas, so my email was not working the last 3 days.
Ralph, let me answer that. Firstly, my name is not Carmine Bianco. Secondly, I don't do dinners. Teddy, did you see me?
Nope.
Did we go out for dinner?
Nope.
Nor did Marco and I. Marco did come down to see me. He played cash poker at one of the tournaments I was at. But Ralph, dude, I come in, I play poker 14 hours a day, I go to bed. That's what I do. I get to see you on the show.
I don't care if I see you or not. Just make sure you're PayPaling me that $500 that you would have spent on my dinner. That's all I care about.
Oh, well said. Well said. Ralph, you got a chart? The mic is yours.
Well, it's simple, guys. You know, we all like laying 1.5 runs, so you get smaller juice. So is it worth it? Is it different at home? Is it different on the road? And I broke this down into 2 categories. I didn't want to break it down into smaller subsets and shrink the sample size. So simply, we're looking at 2 things. Favorites of 180 to 220. So in that range where you're taking a team, you're going to lay the 1.5 runs, and you're going to get it to a pick 'em or minus 120 price. Then we're going to look at higher favorites. So the chart is broken down into home teams on the top in the blue, yellow teams on the bottom. So I'm going to run through it quickly, and as I always do, I will post this chart so you can look at the numbers more carefully on my Twitter at CalSportsLV. So when we look at home teams, I went back to 2019. When you're a home favorite of minus 180 to minus 220, you've actually been profitable. You've cashed 67% of the time, an average line of minus 180. So that's just about the break-even point. You see the return on investment is 0.8. So if you're in that range, are you better playing them on the money line or on the run line? Well, take a look. The average line on the run line is minus 100, but you're only covering 48%. So you're down 44 units and you're down 4.3% return on investment. How about big favorites? Well, big favorites have been on the positive side of the Mendoza line when you're at home, finishing plus 62 units and a plus 2.9%. Run line, still a little bit over 500, but again, when you're at home as a favorite of 180 to minus 220, it's been better to play the money line. If you're at home as a big favorite of minus 231 and higher, it's been better to play the money line as well. So hence the blue arrows on the money line. The run line on the road, when you're between a favorite of minus 180 and minus 220, both have been small losers, almost exactly the same return on investment. So there really is no difference when you're on the road. But do take a look when you're on the road and you're a favorite of minus 231 or higher, the return on investment, 9.5% compared to 4%. So the only time that has shown in the last 4+ years, again, in a sample size that's all grouped together, when we break it down team by team, it's an entirely different situation. Playing the run line on a big away favorite of minus 230 or higher has been the best situation.
So, Ralph, this is a great chart. And
Yeah.
there are two things that stand out to me on it. Yes, Lawrence?
I was just saying, yeah. Wow.
Oh, okay. Ralph, there are two things that stand out to me on this chart. And both of them really stand out. The first is that at home, you can't play run line with the minus 180 or higher. You just can't do it. The straight up bets are better. Would you agree or disagree with that assessment? And frankly, that's kind of the way that I've been leaning. I only had one run line play all year in MLB. And in previous years, I've had a lot more. So I'm thinking run line, big home favorites, you got to play them straight up. Agree, disagree.
And you know why, Teddy? The most didn't come out of your mouth. When you're playing the run line at home and you're up by one inning, you are not batting in the ninth inning, so you are only getting 8 at-bats versus 9 at-bats. That's the difference in the run line at home, absolutely.
Then when we look on the highway, the thing that stands out is that since 2019, there have been 190 games with a favorite of minus 231 or higher. And they've only 16 of those 190 have been one-run games. They just don't happen a lot. And my thought about that is the road favorites of minus 230 or higher, that's August. You know, that's betting against the dead teams in August. And that's when you can play the run line. So that stood out to me as well. Agree?
Absolutely. That's a great point. And I'm just looking now when in the MLB this year, I'm looking at and away teams and greater than or equal to minus 220. I'm going to say there's only been a handful, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've had 9 this year, Teddy, where there's been an away team of minus 220 or higher. So the Braves twice because they've been red hot, and the Rays twice, obviously, with their start. That happened with those red hot teams early in the season. But other than that, the majority, you're right, are late in the year or when you have those pennant chases against teams that have just quit.
Ralph Michaels joining us. Well, I am hurting today, Teddy. Got home late last night. Cried over my Leafs performance, and now I'm a mess. Ralph, let's talk some baseball. 2:20 Eastern time game. Chicago Cubs minus 165 against Miami. How do we bet this?
Well, been red hot giving out my actual client releases. Another 2-0 sweep last Friday. Thanks for those that commented on that. This is an actual client play, and I used Cubs first 5 minus the 155 with Steele versus Cabrera. Now, many times if I get into this price range, I'm going to lay the half a run. And that's the other option. When you're at home and you have the better starter and you don't want to lay the 1.5, laying the half run for the first 5 is an option. But let me tell you why I didn't lay. I do like laying the first half with the better pitcher and with the bullpens basically even. There's no value. In the NFL, when you look at a 3-point favorite, the money line can vary depending on how many people are betting the money line. When I looked at the first 5 in this game, instead of laying the 155, if I wanted to lay half a run, I was still laying 130. There was only a 25-cent swing between laying the first half or not. So when I have a home favorite in that role and I'm only getting 25 cents of value, I don't mind laying the extra juice. When you have a bigger line, example, the Mets today, when I looked at the Mets, they were minus 200 something. There was a 95-cent difference laying the first half. You're saving yourself 95 cents in that bet. So there's a huge gap when you're looking at that play. So don't automatically take games, first 5, and then say, I'm going to bet it first 5 minus a half run because it's a big line. Look at what the line value actually shows you. But in this game, yes, the Cubs are 1-6, but all 7 games were on the road, and they got swept in Miami prior to going to Washington. Quick return for them. Steele has 6 starts. He has not allowed over 2 earned runs in any of those games. He's got a sub 1.0 whip at home, a 0.52 ERA at home, and Cabrera, 6-point ERA on the road, 1.92 whip. I do like Miami's bullpen, so I'm taking the full game out of play. First 5 play here, game 952. It is the traditional Cubs 2:20 start. Lay it with Chicago.
So here's my question, Ralph. You talked about the recent struggles for Chicago, 1-6 on the road trip. It actually goes back before that. They're 3-9 their last 12 games. Are you comfortable laying a price with a team that's basically ice cold? The lineup's not hitting. I know Steele's been good, but he's the only one. He's the only thing on the Chicago to like right now. When you have a team that's not just cold, they've been cold for a couple of weeks. They weren't expected to be that good, and they kind of overachieved early. Are those the teams you want to lay $1.50, $1.60 with at this stage of the campaign?
Well, at home they've hit better than on the road, Teddy. So you're batting almost 260 at home. And I look at the situation against Miami, even a poorer situation for Miami against lefties and on the road. So obviously you want better teams. But from what I've read and you look at the reset and what they've talked about, you look at the Cubs the last couple games. I mean, they scored 3, they scored 5, they scored 3, they scored 6. Yeah, they scored 1 against Stroman and 1 in their other starts. So not the best situation, but when I'm looking at first 5, I am looking at pitching and with the Cubbies back at home versus Miami on the road.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com, exclusive handicapper to us, and an awesome guy, and a man who supposedly I owe $500 to for not taking him out for dinner. Well, Phoenix, Denver. So Denver has absolutely dominated this team. They're up 2-0. None of the games have been, none of them have ended close. Here we have them at +4 on the road against Phoenix. No one was thinking sweep. How do we bet this game?
Well, I think Denver showed us a lot. Listen, they talked disrespect from day one, being the number 3 being the number 3 future in this market, despite being the number 1 seed and having the strong home advantage. But let's remember this. They do have one of the strongest home advantages, and we did see Phoenix wear out with Denver playing with that altitude. Now you're back at home, and again, of course, you're playing without Chris Paul. I don't mind that situation in the first game of an injury. I am a big believer in the injury system. Remember, these 0-2 teams that come home have been crazy first half plays. I am actually going to play first quarter, and this is a client release as well. Now, let me give you some numbers. In the playoffs, 0-2 teams at home as a favorite or a pick'em have gone 52-32, 61.9%. But when we look at a number 1 seed who won their first 2 games at home and now are an away dog, those teams are 4-18 straight up, 4-16-2 against the spread. And since 2011, those number 1 seeds are only 1-10 straight up at ATS. When I look at the first quarter, those number 1 seeds have gotten outscored 28.5 to 22.6. So it's been a significant run. The Nuggets, 7-14 on the road this year, coming off a home game. Again, a strong road-home dichotomy. The Suns, the number 1 scoring defense when you only look at first quarter stats. Add it all together, I am going to play Phoenix first quarter in this game, and I expect them. Phoenix is not sure what's going to happen. Phoenix knows, what Denver's going to do. Denver is not sure what's going to happen now with Chris Paul being injured. I think that gives another advantage to the Suns. Suns get out quickly. First quarter, Phoenix.
So there were 1.5s at the open. Those are quickly moving to 2 for the first quarter. I'm seeing 3.5 for the first half in a game that's totaled at 4, lined at 4. This is all early wagers for you, correct? This is nothing for the second half of this ballgame. This is Phoenix getting off to a hot start. It's either first quarter or first half, not full game, correct?
It is. I just played first quarter, and that's it. I did not mess with the first half. And, that first half stat, Teddy, that hit 80% 5 years ago, there was a 5-year stretch there where 0-2 teams coming at home, and I think we talked about this. We saw first half lines higher than full game lines because it was so hot. That is at 50% now the last 3 years. So while I mention it, it is historic. The lines have caught up, as you said. It's 75% of the line now. We haven't seen it match or be more, but there's no need to because the bookmakers are now comfortable in the position where they got it, where they know where they need to put the line to make it a 50-50 break-even proposition, which is their job to just cash juice.
Excellent stuff, Ralph Michaels. What do you got to promote?
Nothing. You got 2 of my 4 plays today. I do have 2 more plays. It's been a 88% run in the NHL. Number 1 in the NHL the last 7 days. Number 2 in the NHL the last 30 days, Prez. So next year I'm going to be seeing you, McGinnis, and Carm on puck time. But that's it. You got 2 of my 4 plays. Check it out for the weekend. I don't think I'm going to have any 5% coming up, but it's been a very, very solid 7, 14, and 21-day run for me.
Nicely done. Ralph Michaels, everybody. Teddy covers. So we started the show. There were about 150 people watching. Now there's 240. Prez is back. It's all over Twitter. Hashtag Prez is back. It's trending everywhere. People are racing to their computers, their phones, getting onto YouTube, checking out the show. Well, I'm excited to be back, man. What did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting last night?
So 2 things I got to talk about. One real quick. Brutal if you had the over last night, Warriors-Lakers game 2. There were 2 points scored in the last 4.5 minutes of garbage time of that game, which resulted in a push on the total. Some people might have lost by a hook if you had that over. The 2 teams combining 1 of 13 from the floor, 0 of 2 from the free throw line. And let's not forget all those turnovers, including a dribble out at the end. Tough push. That being said, we got to talk, because there's more legs to this story now about the betting scandal. coming out of the SEC in the LSU-Alabama game. If you missed me talking about it yesterday, I talked about it right here in What Bettors Learned. And at the moment, things were being uncovered. The plot has thickened since yesterday. It starts with this, all right? No student athletes involved. If you missed the start of yesterday's show, what happened was there was suspicious betting flagged by U.S. Integrity, a firm that monitors sports betting. They're hired by the SEC. Various states hire them. They're a company out of I don't know if they're headquartered in Vegas, but Matt Holt lives in Vegas. He's the president/CEO. And a buddy of mine from back in the day, they had red flags on this college baseball betting match. Now, regular season college baseball doesn't take any money, all right? FanDuel said they didn't take a single bet on the game. Other sportsbooks reported minimal betting on the game. And then all of a sudden, there's these limit bets and limit parlays, and then the coach gets fired right before we go on air yesterday. I'm like, I thought it was much ado about nothing to start, and the coach gets fired. And then it comes into play that Alabama's scheduled starting pitcher, the ace, Luce Holman, was scratched before the game. Odd shift tends to happen when that happened. But the guy who was making the bets at the Great American Ballpark in Ohio, he happened to be on the phone with the coach. Oops, that's a no-no. That's a pretty big no-no. They got video surveillance that says that he placed the bets, was communicating with the head coach at the time. Maybe they're buddies, and the guy used the coach's info to make bets. Can't do that. You screwed your buddy pretty bad. He just lost his job. That's what happened. Coach, yapping, big bet, red flags, consequences. Plain and simple. Lawrence, that's what I learned.
Yeah, Teddy, I listen, I'm not up yet on it. I was traveling yesterday, and I tuned out completely for 3 days while in Vegas. So I got to get caught up to speed. Anyway, just to let everybody know, I have decided we are not going to have a daily presidential address. I have nothing planned. Teddy, do you want to do one?
It's the daily presidential address. It's not for me, Lawrence. I sometimes get a little...
So what I'm asking from everybody is, show me love. Let's get to 100 likes regardless, and we'll have a whole lot for next week. Sig is joining us. Sig, we love having you on, man. It's horse racing season time. Something is going on in Kentucky this weekend. How have you been?
Well, no volume.
We can't really hear you. There we go.
Any better now?
Yeah.
Much.
All right.
Sig, how you doing?
Derby this weekend, guys. It's the biggest horse racing weekend of the year next to Breeders' Cup, and it's been a hell of a week for me, but looking forward to it. It's a great betting opportunity.
Sig, I lived in Australia for 3 years back in the 90s. According to them, the Melbourne Cup is the biggest weekend in sports racing, in horse racing.
It may well be in Australia.
Is the Kentucky Derby the biggest race in the world, or is it the biggest race in North America?
I'm sure we could debate this with people from Europe and from Australia and from the Middle East as well. But in North America, Kentucky Derby weekend is the weekend that draws the most attention from the bettors.
Yes. So, I think every country. Sorry, Teddy, you go ahead, man. I'm not on today. It's all you, boats.
Clearly, you got nothing to say. Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Sig will talk. Yeah. Let the grown-ups talk for a few minutes. So, Sig, last year we saw Rich Strike, 80-1, come out of the back of the pack and all of a sudden make a run for the ages. Everything broke perfectly for an 80-1 horse, and they won. I believe my 25 years in Vegas, that was the 5th time a long shot. Maybe it was the 6th time that we've seen like 35-1 or higher win a Kentucky Derby. How do these long shots keep winning? Let me forget cashing. How do they keep winning? And should we expect more of the same this year? Or this year we're going to look at the favorites?
Well, I'll tell you, last year, I can tell you, both Marco and I had the horses that were 1 and 2 coming down the stretch at Churchill Downs. Both of us had future bets on those 2 horses, thinking they were going to cross the line first. We were both surprised by the way Rich Strike came out of nowhere. And guys, if you go back, you watch the replay from overhead on that, it was the most amazing ride that Sonny Leone gave that horse. That horse wasn't even in the race until the Saturday morning of that Kentucky Derby last year. He drew in off the also eligible list. This year, we actually had 3 horses that drew in off the also eligible list. We're already down 4 horses that are in the field that were scratched out. So we're not even going to have 20 horses in the starting gate on Saturday. We're going to have 19 at this point before any more scratches before tomorrow. So it's not often you're going to see a big long shot like that. That was the perfect setup. They went suicide fractions on the front end last year, set that race up perfectly for a huge closer like Rich Strike, who came out of nowhere, was charging on the lane and caught up to what I thought were the 2 best horses last year. So it does happen. It doesn't happen often, but if your name was Rich and you bet the horse because your name was Rich Strike, you got 80 to 1. Don't see it happening yet this year, but I do have a couple long shots I like here in the field.
Well, I got to ask you, say it doesn't happen very often. And I've got, I've got Charismatic at 31 to 1, Giacomo at 50 to 1, Mind That Bird at 50 to 1, Country House at 60 to 5 to 1, and Rich Strike at 80 to 1. That's 5 times in the last 25 years since I found that a horse that nobody was talking about prior to the race ends up cashing at better than 30 to 1. Can we expect this to happen every 5 years, like a crazy long shot on average? Or has it been a little bit more than one might expect?
I think it's been a little bit more than one can expect. You remember Country House was actually put up there because Maximum Security was disqualified. They had to take 20, 25 minutes after that race in 2019 to disqualify and bring that horse down. That way Country House moved into that winning position. Otherwise, Maximum Security was the favorite going into the race in 2019. So, yes, we're going to probably see it. I think we've seen it more in the last 20 years than we've seen it in the past. And I don't think it's going to happen as often again, but like I said, in a 20-horse field, anything can happen. These are 3-year-old horses that develop quickly at this age. They're still maturing. So you can see a huge upset like that. And when those prices pay balloons, I think just in a normal, because of the amount of money that's spread out on betting in the Kentucky Derby between the 20-horse field, you're going to get payouts and on everything, on win, play, show, your exactas, everything is going to be multiplied a lot more than you see on a daily basis at a track, say running on a Thursday or a Friday.
Sure, and obviously there's more quote-unquote dead money in this pool than in most horse racing pools. That's one of the things that makes the Kentucky Derby so attractive to professional bettors like yourself, Sig. Forte's the favorite here. I heard a rumor this morning he was going to get scratched. Forte deserved to be the favorite, and do we want to bet on him or not so much?
I have Forte at the top of my list right now. There are some rumors floating around I saw on Twitter that a couple pleasure horses showed up on the vets list. Nothing's been substantiated that I've seen on that yet here. But as of right now, Forte is my top pick in here. If you guys catch the Pony Pundits, the show Marco and I did with Joe Ranieri earlier this week, I could give you my top 4 picks of that race. One of those is already scratched out, which is Practical Move scratched out, Skinner scratched out, which was one of the long shots I liked in here. But Forte's done nothing wrong. He's raced 7 times in his career. He's won 6 of those races. The only time he missed was the first time he raced in Graded Stakes competition last summer. Other than that, he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in November, which is the top race for 2-year-olds. Historically, that's not been a good race for horses going into the Derby. Only 2 horses went from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile win to the Kentucky Derby win. But he has, I read Ortiz aboard, who's the top jock in North America. He's been aboard him for every race. I think he knows this horse inside and out. I think he's going to get enough pace at mid-pack with this horse. I think Forte's got a big shot as the favorite. Another horse I like is also coming from the Pletcher barn here. It's Tapit Trice. He's 5 to 1 on your morning line here. He began his Derby quest at Tampa Bay Downs in March, winning the Tampa Bay Derby. He came from 8th. He had a rough start there. Came flying in with a big sweeping move. And then he followed it up last month with winning the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. He faced a challenge from a horse called Verifying from the Brad Cox barn. Held him off at the end of the race there. Made a really strong performance. Pletcher's actually got 3 in here. The other one's Kings Barnes at 12 to 1. He's a long shot in my opinion. But we're already down 15% of the field that was drawn on Monday here with the scratches. Like I said, 4 horses are already out that are on that post position that we're showing on the graphic right now. So there are 3 horses off that also eligible list. That's where Rich Strike came from last year. One of those horses does intrigue me. It's Mandarin Hero. It's a horse that raced in the Santa Anita Derby and gave Practical Move all he could handle coming down the stretch run. I think he might be poised for a big price And coming off that also eligible list, not as many people realize that horses in the race. The same thing happened with Rich Strike last year. You could get big price on him. And one other long shot I think you guys should take a look at, he's actually one of my top choices in here, is Two Phils. He's 12-1 on the morning line. He's from a trainer and a jockey who are making their first appearance at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby here. He's only hit the board. He's hit the board in almost every one of his races here. His only win came at Turfway Park last year over a synthetic surface, so it wasn't on dirt, but it was one of the best speed figures raced by these 3-year-olds. So I think we got a couple shots in here that could win if Forte can't get the job done.
Great stuff, Sig. A long-time Las Vegas resident and horse racing expert. If you didn't know beforehand, you certainly know after listening to him break down the Kentucky Derby. Sig, any other horses you want to talk about real quick? You're giving us some favorites. You're giving us some long shots. Anything else stand out to you as a horse we might want to consider? Churchill Downs.
Actually, I was going to give you guys, there's a Kentucky Oaks races in about 5 hours from now. Today is the Philly race, which is the equivalent of the Kentucky Derby. And just so something timely here for your viewers, the 7 Wet Paint is your favorite. I think she's a good favorite here. But a long shot to look at in today's Kentucky Oaks is 5 Wonder Wheel, who's 12-1 in the morning line, but's only had one bad race in her career. That was her last race. I think you can get a big number on her. And I don't think that Wet Paint's a complete lock in here. So I'm going to have some money on Wonder Wheel today in the Kentucky Oaks.
Sig, outstanding stuff, man. And Teddy, I actually thought you rocked that segment as well. Some great questions. And I didn't know you were so knowledgeable in horse racing there, Teddy.
So ironically, I had to shoot Beat the Odds, which is on Check Your Local Listings. We're doing a Kentucky Derby special. I asked Marco to help me. So all my questions come from what Marco helped me. So thank you,
well,
Marco.
There you go.
I thanked him on air there. I'll thank him here.
Sig, anything to promote?
I just want to let you guys know my Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby preview and betting guide are available over at WagerTalk, guys. It's $35, but if you use the code KD10, like Kentucky Derby 10, the number 10, this is going to get you $10 off, $25. You get a preview of every horse in the Derby, every horse in the Oaks, and then you're going to get my full card selections for today's Friday Oaks card and tickets, and as well as my full card selections and tickets for tomorrow's Kentucky Derby card. Guys, it's the best weekend to bet on horse racing. Like Teddy said, so much dead money in those polls. Go get it.
Thank you so much, Sig. Guys, 12 more likes to 100. There will be no daily presidential address, so this 100 is just for love. If you've never watched this show before, full disclosure, this is about as bad a day as I will have. The show is better. It's better normally. I promise. I got home late last night. I'm tired. I'm jet lagged. And I haven't gotten used to Teddy yet. You know, you get a break from Teddy and then all of a sudden you see Teddy. Yeah. What do you want? Here we go, everybody.
No, the show's been just fine. The only problem on today's show is that Prez is out of sorts. Good info
that's what
from
I said.
Ralph. Good info from Sig. You know, everything's it's through your prism. Oh, the show isn't any good. No, the show's fine.
No, I never said that.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, what bettors
we're
learned?
not taking a break. Stop. You are the co-host.
Move the show along.
Shut up.
And move the show along.
And I did say I am sucking today. Anyway, guys, it's time for betting strategy with Teddy and the Prez. We call that our BS segment. Teddy, we got a question here from Sil Catenacci. I can't pronounce that name. It's Italian, probably. There's a whole lot of vowels. Playoff lines in the NBA are typically sharp. Should I try to get a better live line in the first quarter? That is tough, Sil. I mean, you're taking a chance. The chance 50%, you're going to get a great freaking line. 50%, you're going to get a worse line. Teddy, handle this question.
That's the exact issue. Is you're taking a risk if you want to make a bet after tip-off. And the risk is my team's not going to run away with it. My team's not going to get off to a hot start. You know, if they do, you know, if you're betting a favorite and they're up, 15-2, you ain't getting a better number unless they blow that lead. And the similar story, if you get a dog and they're down 15-2, or you didn't bet the dog, now you get the best of the number But you're taking the risk of a bad start potentially, or a good start from the team you wanted to bet, potentially taking you off wager. So yes, there are many times I'll make a bet in the NBA. My team gets off to a crappy start. I'll make another live bet at a better number. But I like to make that first bet before tip-off. That, I guess, if I'm right about the handicap and my team either dominates or hangs tough throughout, I'm going to get the best of the number right there and then. Great question, Sil. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, we're going to get to another question about sports books and listed pictures, but we're going to save that to Monday. I do promise that we will ask that question, but I do want to just add one more thing to Sil's question, and that is, it's worth taking the chance, Sil, because ultimately, if you end up with a worse number than you originally would have had, you don't actually have to make the bet. So to me, I have no problem if you want to wait and take that shot that you're going to get a better number than it was at the beginning, especially if you haven't handicapped the game and you don't have a strong opinion when the game starts. Phoenix today goes up by 18 in the first quarter. I'm betting Denver. Denver goes up by 12 in the first quarter. I'm betting Phoenix. So I think it's worth taking that chance if you don't have a strong opinion at the start of the game. Teddy, let's bring Andy Lang in. Andy, I missed you, man. Like, honestly, I go away for 4 days. I come back, and it's like I finally feel better now that you're here.
Aw, making me blush. Might have to adjust the tint there on the screen there. My cheeks are turning red. Thank you. It is great to see you guys. As always, should be a great weekend of sports.
Excellent stuff. Andy, let's get straight into it. NBA tonight, you've got a prop bet for us. Fill us in.
I like Joel Embiid under his points, rebounds, and assists. I've seen a lot of comments. They're giving away the MVP trophy tonight. They're going to come out strong, and it's going to be a huge night for Embiid in Philly. I don't know. Eye test, he looked awful in the last game that he played. And I can't believe they actually played him. I don't know what the point of that was. You put more wear and tear on the injured leg, and he played 27 minutes. He only had 15 points and 3 rebounds, and they have his points, rebounds, and assist number set at 37.5. He didn't even get halfway there, and he still played 27 minutes. It was a decent amount. I think they did more damage than they did good putting him in that game. And Teddy, I'd love your thoughts on this. I think a slowed down Joel Embiid makes Philly worse because Boston can just get out and run. This Philly team is not fast anyway. They're terrible in transition defense. And when Embiid is hobbled around, I think it just gives a huge advantage to Boston. I think Doc Rivers is going to have some tough decisions to make if he sees that Embiid is not effective early and he sees that Embiid's a little bit out of position or they're getting beat in transition. Even if Embiid does play his full minutes, the guy had as many turnovers as he did rebounds in the last game. Boston is just very fast and athletic on the inside. I think they're able to move him out of the way. Embiid was 0 for 2 from three-pointers. He got 7 of his 15 points from the free throw line. I think he's more of a liability when he's hurt right now with Philly. So I like his under. If the game is a blowout on either one side, he's not going to play in the fourth quarter. I just think there are a lot of paths to him going under, and it will take a monster game on a bad leg. I just don't see it. So, Teddy, I would love your perspective on what you saw from Embiid if you agree with me on that one.
I don't know if I want to be betting Embiid under off a blowout loss like that, returning home and getting his trophy tonight. Isn't this the spot where Joel Embiid says, yes, I deserve this over Jokic. Yes, I deserve this over Giannis. Admittedly, he's only gone over this number once in 4 postseason games so far. But given the circumstance, he didn't play well last time out. Philly got blown out last time out, et cetera, et cetera. From a motivational standpoint, is this one where maybe he's extra motivated? I don't know if that matters in this situation, but,
can his knee
clearly you think
motivated?
It does.
Can he take some motivation and get it down into that leg there? I don't know. I mean, like, motivation is one thing. Health and injury is another. So I thought he looked really bad in the last game. It's a little bit of an eye test. I mean, I have some stats to back it up, but it's more of an eye test for me. I think he puts Philly in a really, really tough spot.
Andy Lang joining us, everyone. Andy, we got a UFC going on. Chaos Williams. Now that's a name, dude, right there. That is, whoa, is that his real first name?
Yes, the rumor is that I have not gotten any verification, but the rumor is they actually changed his name because he was so chaotic as a child. The mom was like, "Your name is now Chaos," so that is his name. His fights can be chaotic. This one is going to be chaotic. So, Chaos Williams has been getting better in the UFC, and this, I don't know where they pulled this guy from. I don't know how he ended up in the UFC. He fights at a low level league. He's 14-1. It's a very suspect 14-1. He's one of the guys he fought was a former taxi cab driver. And this guy is wild. He has very little striking defense. And when watching film, this guy gets clipped every fight in these low level leagues, except he's got cardio to weather the storm and then beat these low level guys. Chaos is, I can't even describe what a step up in competition that Chaos Williams is going to be for Bedoya. And Bedoya's style fits right into Chaos's style. Bedoya likes to move forward and get into a brawl. And at the low level, he can do that, except Chaos is going to have a very tight guard. He's going to weather the early storm from Bedoya, and there's going to be counter shots. It wouldn't surprise me if this one is over in the first round, but Chaos is going to clip this guy left and right, and I'm not really sure if this guy has anything for Chaos on the feet. So Chaos is going to live up to the name. The level of competition that Chaos Williams has been fighting is incredible. He put on an incredible show against Randy Brown. He lost a split decision. I thought it could have gone either way, but this is going to be a Chaos Williams showcase and highlight reel for sure. Take Chaos inside the distance. That's around -150.
So you say to win by finish. That means he's gonna knock him out or a TKO, because we're talking about 1.5 rounds here as the overrun.
Yeah, I'm taking inside the distance that Chaos will win by either knockout or submission. I like to take both of them. Like inside the distance is -150. KO is -135, so you're only spending 15 cents. And we see this happen where a guy will clip a guy, and instead of jumping on him and grounding, pounding, he'll jump on and wrap up a neck and choke him out. And all of a sudden, you took him by KO and you're holding a losing ticket. So, and Chaos has a cardio and the power that lasts all 3 rounds. He's knocked guys out in the first round. He's knocked guys out in the third round. So even if this does make it over the 1.5, Chaos is going to finish this fight. That's my best bet in this fight.
Andy, dude, awesome stuff. We got more Formula One happening. What do we do in this race?
Okay, so this play is -225. You can do a couple things with it. If you're perfectly fine with laying that kind of juice, you can put a couple units on it, or you can use it as a parlay piece. But we're taking Mercedes double top 10 finish. That means both Mercedes cars will finish inside the top 10. Over the last couple seasons, this play has been absolute money. George Russell, in his last 26 races, has finished inside the top 10 23 out of those 26 times. Lewis Hamilton, exact same. 26 races, he's finished in the top 10 23 times. George Russell had reliability issues. He blew an engine 2 races ago, comes back, got a fresh engine, and they finished 6th and 8th. Last race, easily cashing. They finished in the top 10 easily last year. This is the Grand Prix of Miami. And these guys are just very consistent. Their team doesn't make bad decisions. They don't mess up pit stops. Their strategy is always on point. They know how to manage their tires. They don't make mistakes. They don't get into accidents. This is a play that you can just play week in and week out at Formula One races. The Mercedes double top 10 finish. Like I said, play it on your own if you're fine with laying a lot of juice, or if you want, use it as a parlay piece. I already have played this with a golf parlay piece, but if you're looking for something else over the weekend, this is a fantastic one.
Strong information from Andy Lang here on the Friday edition of WagerTalk Today. Andy, great stuff. What do you have to promote this weekend? Obviously, a big weekend for fighting, racing, and a bit more traditional sports as well.
Yeah, NBA lacrosse. We've got lacrosse play up. It's a tournament. It's a conference tournament. So we have a lot. We're gonna run promo code Andy3 ANDY3. Get you a 3-day pass for $39. You'll get all of our plays. We've got 4% plays that are already up. We've got a big weekend. We got a 3% UFC play that is up already. You'll get all of them. It's a great price. You get all the plays, all percentages. Promo code Andy3, 3-day pass for $39.
Okay. Andy Lang, what a show, Teddy. Okay, I can go back to bed. Oh, thank God. I'll be better Monday, everyone. Teddy, take us home.
50-50 if he'll be better Monday. Sharp money's on the no. That's going to wrap it for the week here on Wager Talk today. Be sure to stay tuned to all of our additional programming right here on Wager Talk TV, including Wager Talk Last Call, First Pitch, Puck Time, NBA Tip-Off, etc., etc. Just because we're done doesn't mean the content is done on WagerTalk.com. We'll see you guys on Monday. Between now and then, enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.